What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thrift Shopping here. Today we are going to be talking about all of the updates we are going to see in the October month and how you can capitalize on a bunch of money-making opportunities, as well as get ahead of the game and try to figure out when and where is it beneficial for you to make some gear upgrades. Let's start by going over all of the gear updates we will see and can expect to see. First things first, we know we are getting a new 7-star weapon series in the Obsidia series. This will be available October 5th, but will only drop from high-ranked combat sectors from enhanced enemies. So if you want to farm out one of these weapons, you're gonna have to go to the new combat sectors. We will talk about the Obsidia series in detail a little bit later. We have new 7-star units that were announced as well, which is called the Epidus Armor. We're going to have an Arga, Shiza, and Belta variant, but those variants are going to be dropping in each region's high-rank combat sectors. So for Retem, which we will see on October 5th, we will be getting the Belta version, which is going to give ranged and tech potency. On October 12th, we will have the Kavaris update, which will give us the Shiza version of this Epidus armor, which will be melee and tech potency boosts. And then finally on the 26th of October, we will be getting those Alio rank 4 combat sectors, which will give us the Arga variant, which is going to improve melee and ranged potency. They also announced a bunch of new capsules that we can expect to see. Stat 4 capsules will be available on October 5th. They also mentioned Soul 4 capsules, and they did show that Gigantics dropped the Giga Stat 4 capsules. So a bunch of your time on this new update is going to be hunting these new capsules in high rank combat sectors, as well as hunting the Gigantics. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the specific content we will be receiving. First things first, we are receiving those rank 4 combat sectors. I mentioned it a little bit earlier with the new Epidus armor units. You're going to be receiving these combat sectors per region as the month goes on. So on October 5th, we're receiving the Retem rank 4 combat sectors. So we'll get Retem Al Nath and lower level Makid. These are going to have level 60 enemies and are going to require 2,647 battle power to enter. This is where you're going to farm your Obsidia series for the first weeks as well, since they only drop from enhanced enemies. So if that is important to you, make sure you're farming Retem Al Nath or lower level Makid. On top of that, if Soul 4 capsules are really a thing, that's referring to boss souls, you may want to farm in a specific combat sector because the trials and the PSC climax bosses can be specific bosses. If that's the case, you might want to emphasize on farming lower level Makid, since those trials can have Dustal as well as Renus Retem, so you could be getting some good boss souls while farming for these Obsidia series weapons and Epidus armor units. The other piece of content we're getting is rank 3 urgent quests. These are going to require 2,878 battle power. And there's going to be a trigger quest version of this too. So you can actually use those alliance badges you've been earning to exchange for triggers that will be usable at any time to run these rank 3 urgent quests. The really great thing about these new urgent quests is that completions are going to guarantee to include a level 4 augment. Chances are those are going to be the boss soul augments that correlate to the actual UQ. This is much like what we observed with the AM's UQ and the Crocodilus UQ, both dropping level 3 capsules upon completion. Another thing we're going to see is the rank 3 triggers. The purple is going to require 2,972 battle power to enter. This is going to be a great way to farm those new Giga Stat 4 capsules, since you're clearing multiple Gigantics in a very swift time. So if you want to focus in on getting those new Gigas capsules, go ahead and go there. Sega is also updating how the World Gigantics operate in our game. They are going to now have a higher drop rate on loot, including some revival weapon camos and motions too. This update actually motivates you to go out in the open world and clear open world Gigantics. And once again, just reminding, we're getting the Retem updates October 5th, the Kavaris updates on the next week, October 12th, and then 2 weeks later, we're getting the Alio updates on the 26th. Those Alio updates will also include the new Trania called Original Tower. By clearing the Trania, you will earn these titles that will give you these Obsidia weapons. This is going to be the other way you can get this new 7-star series, but that will not be available until the 26th at the end of the month. So you're going to have 3 weeks of farming enhanced enemies only to get these Obsidia weapons. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's go into a more detailed discussion about equipment progression. A lot of you are coming from the PlayStation 4 release, so a lot of your progression has been really rushed. You've been zooming through content. You may already be in 7-star weapons. You're most likely in 6-star units. So you really need to ask yourself, is it worth it for you to reinvest in gear right now? Or is it better for you just to hold off? So let's go through what we're going to see. Let's start with that Obsidia weapon series. This is going to be the most achievable 7-star since it can be farmable through combat sectors, and you're going to be able to farm a Fixa. This is going to be the most achievable Fixa weapon that we will see. We don't know about the drop rate, but most likely this weapon is going to operate very similar to how Synquem weapons did in the Retem era of this game. If anybody remembers Retem, there was a big problem with having some decent weapons and then having relic weapons, which were very good but very rare to drop. And so to accommodate that disparity between having okay weapons and then super hard weapons to drop, Sega came up with the Synquem series, which was a very easy weapon series to drop, but it required a bunch of effort in game to upgrade it. What that required was photon scales. It still took multiple weeks to fully upgrade this weapon. On the flip side, Relic was very easy to upgrade using the resources that we're all used to, Monatite, Dulamite, Trionite, Tetrasite, and such. You could go upgrade it right away, but you had to drop it, right? I have a feeling the Obsidia series is going to operate very similar. And why I think this is actually from a tweet from Uber Elite. I'm going to link down below the tweet, but here it is on the screen. Basically, your first time clearing that new original tower Trania on the 26th, it's going to give you 200 photon scales. Photon skills have had zero use since the Synquem series. Most players who have played in Retem probably have thousands of photon skills in their inventory right now, just collecting dust because there's no use for them. So it's kind of implying that by completing the original tower, you're going to get these titles, you're going to get these new Obsidia weapons through the titles, and then you're going to be getting photon scales to upgrade them. I have this suspicion that you will be using photon scales to upgrade this weapon. If this is the case, you have a bunch of ways to get scales. Gigantics drop them. You can get scales and purple triggers since you're clearing Gigantics, as well as doing any of the UQs. The other weapon upgrade announcement we got was discussing the level 60 limit break and the level 5 potential upgrades for the 1 to 6-star weapons. So we don't have any concrete evidence on how significant of an attack power increase these weapons will receive, but we do know that 7-star weapons are over 200 attack power stronger than all of the other weapons in the game. I personally think it's safe to assume we can probably see a 100 or more attack power increase from this limit break. This will temporarily close the gap between the other star rarities and 7-star rarity weapons, and it will allow you to consider using other weapons for the meantime. However, I would 100% expect limit breaking to level 60 to come in November for 7-star weapons, and that attack disparity will return to something similar. So I wouldn't look into this too much. If you have a nice 6-star and you want to keep using it, go ahead, limit break it. You're going to be able to do all the content you want to. As for the item potential unlock to level 5, so far we've only seen Prim's level 5 potential unlock, which increased the potency by 1%, and it increased the skill from 20% chance to 30% chance to not consume a Resticin. So it appears that the potency increase will be very minimal, but we could see a sizable increase on the skill effects. I would definitely keep my eye on this and see which weapon series get a significant increase. Some weapon series I'm personally curious about are things like Resurger, Riaga, Relic, and Sectal for any skill increases. These might become really useful weapons for the next month or two if those skills get significant percentage increases, and they might be dirt cheap since nobody's using them. So my personal suggestion on weapon upgrading in October is if you already have a 7-star weapon, go ahead and stick to this weapon, simply wait. Just focus on making money this update and prepare for the Stia region. The small increase in power you could observe is just not worth wasting millions. Your 7-star weapon can already get you into any content. It's already powerful enough to do all the content. Regardless of what the Obsidia item potential is, it's not going to matter for the content we currently have. Now, if you are in a 6-star or lower rarity weapon, you have a few options. You can firstly stay in a 6-star weapon, limit break it to 60, and enjoy a very strong weapon that is dirt cheap. Go ahead and use this until Stia and wait until new rarity weapons come out. This is going to allow you to capitalize on just making money and focusing on keeping that money in your wallet for the new update drop. The second thing you could do is focus on dropping an Obsidia for the first few weeks by focusing on combat sectors and taking out those enhanced enemies. If you're not lucky enough to get an Obsidia to drop within the first few weeks, you would then be able to complete the original Tower Trainia, which releases on the 26th of October, and then you would get the Obsidia weapon series through the titles. And thirdly, go ahead and just keep up on your daily Icicle Orb, Icicle Cube, and Blizzardium acquisition so you can craft a Kaisar weapon. This is a great weapon series. It's a very cheap weapon to make. It just requires a lot of time. So as long as you're going out there and doing these things daily, you're going to be able to make this weapon in a few weeks, and it is a 7-star weapon. Now for the units, we really don't have any information, so it's hard to speculate if it's going to be worth it for you to upgrade into it. So depending on the stats that we see, my opinions may change. So I'm really just going to wait until we see those stats and I'll make an update video on it. But my TLDR is going to be this. If you already have really good 6-star armors and you've already invested quite a bit into the capsules for them, I would just go ahead and use those for a bit. All of these new units are going to be very expensive and it's worth it to just sell them and get that money. After a couple weeks, if you want to invest into some of them, if the prices are starting to drop, go ahead and do it. But for that first week, really just focus on selling everything you can and just stockpiling money, and then reassess your gear situation at a later date and justify if it's worth it for you to reinvest or not. The first way you're going to be making money is by farming these new Gigantics. They're going to be dropping those new level 4 Gigas capsules. These are going to be worth a lot. Every single storm that happens, you're going to want to go and clear Gigantics. But if you do have any common purple triggers, this is going to be the ultimate play, which is just spamming rank 3 Retem purple triggers. You're going to be clearing 5 Gigantics within 20 minutes. This is going to give you a bunch of chances at getting these Gigas level 4 capsules. And after each run, you can go ahead and post them on the marketplace ASAP and make sure you sell them. I wouldn't be surprised to see these capsules go for over 200, 300, or even 400,000 just because of how many people are going to want them. So this is going to be my most suggested way to make money. After about a week or so of selling, you can then consider reinvesting when they're cheaper if you need them for your gear, or just keep selling. Over time, they're going to get cheaper and cheaper. At some point, you can buy them and work on your own gear. The other way to make money is going to be rank 4 combat sector training. You're going to have Retem Alnoth and lower level Makid on October 5th. This is going to be a great money maker. You're going to have the chance to drop the new Obsidia weapon series. If you're lucky enough to get a Fixa version of that, it's going to sell for a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if some sell for 10, 15, or even 20 million if you were to get a high Fixa attack Obsidia. Farming PSE burst gives good raw Meseta as well for any free-to-play players. Not to mention the new Aina and Manon trial is going to make these PSE bursts occur more frequently, so you have a lot of chances to see these enhanced enemies. Now, when you do see a storm, it's going to be up to you and your group if you want to continue focusing on combat sector farming to get more PSE bursts, or if you want to swap over to world boss Gigantics at that point to try to get Gigas capsules. And a third option is our tried and true captain farming. This is going to be the same strategy as before, but now you have the inclusion of that Aina and Manon trial. So you might be able to include PSE burst farming with that captain farming to get some more raw Meseta in the mix. but those Mastery 3s are still going to sell for quite a bit since Mastery 4 is going to be a staple capsule in any build. So farming captains is always going to net you money off of those Mastery 3 capsule drops. So you can always go back to that if you want to change up the pace a little bit. So my overall final analysis on this October update is use this to prepare your account for Stia. Most of you have gear that is good enough for all of the Kavaris content right now. That gear is going to be good enough for all of this updated content. You may be just a little bit of battle power off, and in that case, you can upgrade your augments to get extra battle power. You can maybe replace one unit for that battle power. But for the most part, your gear is good enough. There is no reason to upgrade your gear again after you just did, to then upgrade it when Stia comes out 2 months later. So don't get caught in that feeling of you needing to upgrade just because it's there. Use this opportunity to make money. For a lot of you PlayStation 4 players, this is your first real chance to actually make money in game without having to spend AC. So take advantage of these opportunities to pad your wallet. It is so much easier to make money in this game when you have a good amount of Meseta saved up. So don't feel obligated to rush for the best of the best capsules and gear. Sell them while they're hot and buy them back a couple weeks down the road at a fraction of the price. If you handle this month correctly, you should be making tens of millions of Meseta and capsule sales. And if you're lucky and you get that Fix Obsidia weapon early, you could potentially make hundreds of millions of Meseta this month. My personal goal is to make 100 million Meseta this month, and I really don't think that's too extreme. I think that is completely doable as long as you're in that sell, sell, sell mentality. Just a heads up, I will be live streaming all of these money-making strategies on my Twitch channel, so go ahead and click the link down below, come stop by, chat with me, let me know what you have been looting or what you've been enjoying in the update, and I'll let you know how these money-making methods are going. And that's all I got for you guys today. If you made it to the end of the video, you're an absolute rock star. Hopefully you make a bunch of money, and I'll see you in the next video real soon.